Woke up late, charts on fire, red and green like a funeral pyre. Discord screaming LFG, but my portfolio's haunting me. Spiked my coffee with regret. Last night I longed to break out bet. Now I'm broke, not broken yet. Just one more pump, I won't forget. Buy high, die huddling. The 10 brain dopamine's controlling. Ride the whale, get wrecked clean. This crypto dream's a guillotine. Fake guru with 1,000 subs showed me coins in shady clubs. Promised moons, Lambos and jets. Now I'm left with JPEGs and debts. Scalped my soul in a 5-minute chart. Market dumped and it ripped my heart. But I'll reload, I'll play to win, even if I lose it all again. Buy high, die huddling. Gas fees burn, but I keep rolling. Almost gone, greed's the king. This crypto dream's a punk rock thing. In the glass, risk it all, no brakes, full gas. Liquidation, call me sweet. Whisper welcome to defeat. No stop loss, no regrets. Code and chaos, no safety nets. Satoshi's ghost in my DMs. Will need to ape again and again. Buy high, die huddling. Gas fees burn, but I keep rolling. If I crash, at least I tried. In this wild west of blockchain rights. I'll be trading till the lights go out. Charts are noise, but I live for the sound. One candle spike, and I'm back in town. Crypto's a fight, and I'm 10 toes down. Diamond hands with the crack in the glass. Risk it all, no brakes, full gas. But I'll reload, I play to win, even if I lose it all again. Woke up late, charts on fire, red and green like a funeral pyre. Discord screaming LFG, but my portfolio's haunting me. Spiked my coffee with regret. Last night I longed to break out bet. Now I'm broke, not broken yet. Just one more pump, I won't forget. Buy high, die huddling. The 10 brain dopamine's controlling. Ride the whale, get wrecked clean. This crypto dream's a guillotine. Fake guru with 1,000 subs showed me coins in shady clubs. Promised moons, Lambos and jets. Now I'm left with JPEGs and debts. Scalped my soul in a 5-minute chart. Market dumped and it ripped my heart. But I'll reload, I'll play to win, even if I lose it all again. Buy high, die huddling. Gas fees burn, but I keep rolling. Almost gone, greed's the king. This crypto dream's a punk rock thing. Diamond hands with the crack in the glass. Risk it all, no brakes, full gas. Liquidation, call me sweet. Whisper welcome to defeat. No stop loss, no regrets. Code and chaos, no safety nets. Satoshi's ghost in my DMs. Told me to ape again and again. Buy high, die huddling. Gas fees burn, diamond hands with the crack in the glass. Risk it all, no brakes, full gas. But I will load, I play to win, even if I lose it all again. Woke up late, charts on fire, red and green like a funeral pyre. Discord screen and LFG, but my portfolio.
Hey, how's it going, guys? I hope you're having an awesome day so far today. Who we got in the chat? We got, let's pull this up here. We got Coma, of course, always here first. Mikey, how you doing, man? Steerding, Peb, Wagner, Alvin, how you doing? Andrew, how's it going, bro? All right, so I'm currently in a long position. Got awfully close to stopping me out, though. I'll go through it really quick as to why I jumped into a long. I think structurally, it's not my favorite kind of suggestive entry, but we had decent confluence after basically just trying to commit to my trade plan that I posted about yesterday, where we're looking at, this is our local demand. We were kind of squeezed between the local supply and that demand, and creating this kind of unconfident kind of rollover back down. But this morning we created a 15-minute orb, after coming down and after we came down and grabbed that liquidity from this low right here and bouncing off of our like 786, our golden pocket area, I jumped in on a long after we got acceptance into the 15-minute orb and retested the orb low. And the orb is the first 15-minute candle close of that day, and kind of gives you a suggestion how algorithmic bots could be calibrated. I risked to lose 1% in the setup, and I'm trading right now with a $6,300 account. It started off with $5,000 when I started the new year. But yeah, right now I'm holding the position at a loss, risking to lose about $64, right? So just that 1%. And now I'm just kind of in a hopeful phase because the good thing that's happened so far is that we swept the liquidity from this low. We used it as fuel for our move up. We got acceptance to that orb. However, we did lose that on the lower time frames. It kind of gives you an easier story as to why we retested. I got it on the retest. We didn't really get a full body higher high though after the retest. We instead got like an SFP, and that SFP began to target this low. And when we broke that low, we got this double top posture, and then we had a local SFP, which just barely dodged my stop loss. Now I'm in like this kind of like hopeful stage because I have no control over what happens next really. We need to see this enact as a double bottom posture, like closing above here with a full body candle close back above this neckline. But first we need acceptance back inside of this orb. That will be step one. We want to see the acceptance back in here. Step two, close above here. And then we should see buy side liquidity help drive the price to get out. But as soon as we get that confirmation, the VWAP, downtrend momentum, and orb high is going to be in our face. Passing this is just like the main boss. When we get past that, then we'll be targeting the 3-day value area low. When we have this kind of like stiletto type double bottom posture, V-shaped recovery, and then what we're kind of hoping for is a similar kind of scenario where we get maybe like a double bottom, inverse head and shoulders kind of posture that will help drive the price back up with buy side liquidity stacking here. Most of the liquidity below us is now taken. After we swept this low from this demand zone, we're pretty darn cold after that. Now most of the liquidity is resting right here. If we look at the liquidation heat map, we can verify that. We can see that we swept these lows. Let me just refresh. It's not updating the sweep. This tool on CoinGlass is free to use, but it takes about 15 minutes for each update. And we see we took all the liquidity below us, and we only got a little bit left down here, but most of the wave liquidity is above us, so that should help draw the price action up, as it could be used for like exit liquidity for large traders. And there's the amount of about $95 million just resting above that neckline, which is pretty flush with that 3-day value area low. So ideally, we can get a continuation from that. So we could obviously, we first want to suspect that it'll act as resistance, but if we get form like a break of structure in the form of acceptance back inside this 3-day value area, then we can get a target extension to the value area high at 79,021. And there isn't very much opposing resistance shown in the order books until around 82K. When we look at the order books and we see the sell pressure at 82,200, we have a big sell wall for about 1,000 Bitcoin. So at that area, we have to be cautious if we make it that far, of course. Get one step at a time. If I get stopped out, it's very possible. Right now, the odds are kind of against me after just seeing the orb act as a form of resistance. Then I'll be looking for longs again after maybe a sweep of this low. We have a buy wall here. I think it might be spoofed. There was a large buy wall here for about 1,000 Bitcoin. Let's see. No, it's still there. All right, so we still have a large buy wall there waiting. So that could help hold the fort. So if we came down for any reason and those orders were filled, we can't break past this area until they're filled. So if this trade fails, then my next trade plan's depending on how we perform here or here at 72K. And 72K is a significant level. If we zoom out on the macro, is the equal flush to these highs from this 250-day range that we are ranging within for 250 days. And we built this large demand zone that we're kind of preparing to act as a form of support for a macro reversal, especially with all the on-chain rules slowly starting to become met for kind of like a macro bottom reaction. Like we're seeing over 55% of the supply being held at a gain, which is like the lowest it's been since Bitcoin was at 17, 18K in value, like way the heck down here. So lots of the stars are starting to align that this is being called as a potential bottom. I won't be convinced that it's the absolute bottom until we start taking the 107K is gonna be a huge key level that we have to watch out for. And of course, our newly established daily strong high is at 98K now. Breaking that will come with the confluence of getting above the 50 and the 200 EMA, but we have a long ways to go before we get up there. It's possible that we could actually stay ranging here for about 16 plus days. Worst case scenario. But yeah, I'm basically focusing on longs right now. Yesterday we got in a very violent, quick one. On the lower time frames, we got that 1 minute change of character after bouncing off of our key level. The confirming candle not only gave us a change of character, but also mitigate the supply for a quick run up. I signaled a few scenarios on what you could prepare for a move up. Like there, we had this little flag structure, but I couldn't notify people of the trade that I was going in because it was such a fast-paced setup. But here, break of structure here led us to the supply. And we hit our head off the supply a few times, and then eventually we kind of rolled over to where we are now. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but my current active trade is not looking hot. We got to, internally we're kind of building this ascending potential double bottom. If we break that neckline, I'll feel a lot better, because then we'd have acceptance back inside the orb, and by then I wouldn't have been knocked out. But if I do get knocked out, so be it. I'll still be profitable in the long run, as long as you're consistent with your risk. The main thing I didn't like about this setup was the structure wasn't exactly on our side. It was a bit of a front run. And the sweep was really steep. We swept this low, so it kind of forced your stop loss to be low. So if I had a reactional exit here, I'd be exiting at probably just barely like a 1-to-1, which isn't really good for a consistent like longer term growth. But if we broke past that, then we would have our I'll just take the small gains if we had an opposing structure. But if we break above that, then we're set. It's like about a 1 to 2.3. Yeah, 1 to 2.37. So if you're risking to lose like $100, you'd be gaining like 237, for example, before fees. What do we got in the chat? We got Josh. What's up, man? HRJ, you entered sold trade yet? The bottom is close. Yeah, the bottom is insanely close. The yeah, HRJ did a really good short call for the community. We had like he uses Elliott wave theory to help define his entries. And I believe he got in on a short around here. I'll have to double check, but he did a really great job. All right. But yeah, right here, this 79K level is pretty significant. It's a multi-time frame break of change of character. We have the 6 hour, 4 hour. Unless we take this low on the 4 hour, then it could evolve. But yeah, with the 6 hour, 4 hour, and even a 15-minute right now this is the established like current strong high. So if we break that, we'll have a multi-time frame reaction and flip bullish on multiple time frames just on that one candle close above this area. Then we can start preparing for this little supply battle here. We know that there's 1,000 Bitcoin waiting to be taken in the form of like a limit sell wall here. But yeah, I think that just might give us a brief pullback before getting a continuation and hopeful acceptance back inside of this 75-day value area, so we can take target extension back up to its value area high. And then we can start looking for some macro reactions opposing against us. But yeah, is there any assets you guys want to look at? So yeah, Bitcoin today is just about like sitting on our hands. If you're not already in the position, the next setup is just about waiting for it to come back to us around 72K. And between 72.8 and 72K is a good zone to prepare for potential short-term longs. And I'm just watching my stop loss on my other monitor. Just making sure that let's see if we get knocked out or not. Good morning. Lava, what's up, man? French toaster, you're green. Yeah, we changed. We got a badge system now, so now we can, based on how long you've been like subscribed as like a profit, then you'll get different badges and stuff. We have all the badges like ready and made. We just got to upload some for like the longer term ones. But since the membership thing has only been active for a few months, yeah, the green I believe is the first, blue is second, and then it starts getting pretty more bizarre after that. Am I planning on buying to buy spot? I am not planning on buying spot other than maybe some altcoins, but yeah, Bitcoin, I'm planning on an inverse perpetual long. So I'll be risking to lose Bitcoin to gain Bitcoin. Similar to how you guys trade with your regular USDT perpetuals. You can go to coin margin, and most exchanges have it now, and risk to lose your Bitcoin or your asset to gain more of that asset. So I'm not very cash liquid. I have everything's kind of in Bitcoin. I got like 40 BTC in a cold storage wallet, and I'm planning on moving some of that into an exchange to do like a longer term inverse perpetual setup. You want to look at Solana? Let's take a peek at Solana. Now I'll keep watching Bitcoin on my other monitor, just make sure it's doing its job. Got to go up, bro. Sol. Okay, going to the hourly. This is a key level that we want broken, but instead we lost the low. And now we are at $90. What the fuck, man? That's crazy. So we got acceptance back inside of this valley area here. So this value area helped tell us a story of like acceptance into here, help give us a target of this value area high here, and that if we were at resistance, we'd find support here in conflicts with any local demand. But now we have an opposing reaction. We're coming in from the upside and from a large double top kind of posture. So coming in to get acceptance to here, we expect a rotation down to the value area low at $80.59. However, we have a daily order block at our face, flush with that point of control. So we have confluence here to help induce a bounce, but when we have to watch 106 acting as a form of resistance again. We have our neckline here, and we have our value area high here, and that opposing confluence could induce a reversal. If we have any reversal structure to find the top, then you plan to get out. So you should mark the daily order block that we got here. If we zoom in on it, daily order blocks, or any order blocks in general, think of them as like 2 candle structures to help define evidence of potential residual orders. I find that time does make them less significant, but I'd recommend watching it, because the more people that see it, the more people react off it, and it kind of acts like a self-fulfilling prophecy, even if there isn't residual buy orders left there. You can find evidence of residual buy orders by going into the order books to see if there is a buy wall here waiting. But yeah, this is our $89.63 is like relatively close to that point of control at $9.50. So if we do continue to go down lower for Solana, I would be anticipating a bounce here, but then be very mindful of 106. If we zoom in on lower time frames, like the 15-minute, we can get a better idea of the momentum, and if there's any local supply concerns. Here's our downtrending momentum right here. Man, that is razor sharp. Look at that price action. That's insane. Yeah. That looks like manipulation. It looks like a sign of like there's a sell wall driving the price down. It's usually not that razor sharp on an asset like this. So yeah, I'll be looking for bottoming structure here. A bullish change of character, and then hopefully by then the VWAP would have caught up, and you have VWAP on your side during the break. You have that confluence break, and then you can start riding it towards the top. You got to visualize this, visualize the order flow. Every time there's a break of structure, that normally induces more liquidity above us in the form of stop losses and liquidations. We had supply here that got tested and kind of got mostly mitigated and helped drive the price down from here. But yeah, so my pathing targeting plan would be something like this. And then preparing for resistance here again. A decent confluence here. The daily order block and point of control. Now just gotta wait for structural evidence. Don't just ape in on a limit order. And make sure you see that evidence of support. Either be a bullish flip, similar to what you see here, where it's in the ascending double bottom, or a descending double bottom for a bullish change of character. Preferably the bullish change character. That's what I'll be watching out for. I got to clean up some of these charts up here now that we're no longer in those areas of interest. You could mark a fixed range volume profile from here to here, from the moment where we lost the value area. So you can watch any volume nodes to help guide you into areas of resistance. Like our point of control being here locally at $103, and our value area low being at $99.90. You'd want to see acceptance into this with a break of structure to help guide you into continuation. Bitcoin barely holding the fort. 5-minute posture is looking a little messy. And we still need to see a close above this neckline right here. then we're mostly out of the woods. Ethereum, they got a bit of 3 drives behavior. So we have price action coming down. These targets are usually pretty boring when they break. You always want to try to front run these kind of moves because they tend to go, when we break above these areas, the price action tends to start to go cold again right around here at the technical target of a 3 drives. So we could be building like a bit of a Wyckoff structure as well. But yeah, lower time frame posture can help define a front run. We have order blocks down here that we just mitigated. There's a 30-minute order block and a 15-minute order block here. So if we get any reversal structure, we can start targeting these highs again in hopes that we break and they get that continuation. You never really want to go in on the break during this structure because it could easily evolve and start going against you. Most liquidity is up here, but you don't really want to be trapped up here either. So you want to be reactional to an exit up here if you have to be, and just try to get in on a safer entry like around the confluence of these order blocks and these lows. So we get a bullish change of character here. You start targeting at least the downtrending momentum. Watch the order books to see if there's a sell wall chasing this trend line, kind of like what we saw very visibly on Solana with this level here. Ethereum has a lot more reliable tools for order books. You could probably use, you can use coin glass as well, like this, so you can get a better visual. Where Solana, you might have to be using tools like Bookmap or going on to the actual exchange itself and looking at the order books from there. But we all know that the order books on exchanges are pretty noisy and tough to see. You have to lower the decimal rate as much as you possibly can so you can get a better visual. But based on this chart on the Ethereum against USDT, you see there's some key areas of interest, but it's pretty far away from us. You know, most of the interest is local. What do we have in the chat? What's the most promising coin besides Bitcoin? If you could choose Chainlink. Chainlink is the most promising coin in the space right now. There, just because of the adoption that's likely going to occur because of its partnerships and how it's helping banks kind of get into this space. Because of Chainlink, you're going to be able to have the ability to transfer Bitcoin into your bank account. They're helping banks create their own networks, which is a good and bad thing. There's like it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because it's going to help banks create their own CBDCs and stuff like that. And I'm not really for it because of privacy concerns, but it will enhance the technology and communication, but it'll also kind of decrease privacy. So I'm trying, I bet on heavily. It's my second largest bag is Chainlink at around $7.50. Right now the price, yeah, you're right. The price tag right now is terrible relative to, like, I'm playing with house money right now with Chainlink. I got my seed investment out in at $30, which is close to the market cap all-time high. It's not the price all-time high, but it's the market cap all-time high. You guys, a lot of people don't consider inflation with tokens. So up here, yeah, I sold my seed investment. It's roughly around this point of control value area high retest of this previous value area from the last bull market. And right now we're at the bottom of this large range that we've been in. I can probably clean this chart up quite a bit. We had some really transparent moves back up. But yeah, right now I have 50% of my bags ready to be sold at around $15, and I'm going to keep that profit and then let the rest of it ride as much as I can until we start seeing macro opposing structure. The last time we did the market cap all-time high analysis was I believe around here. It's been about a couple years, so it would likely have drawn down about 14% because Chainlink has 7% inflation per year. But yeah, we are kind of coming after the October 10th crash right now, where we lost this 91-day valley area low, starting to use it as resistance. If we do come down lower and don't get acceptance back inside this valley area again, then I'll be watching this low, seeing if it gets claimed in confluence with this daily order block, which actually was around the time where we bought, was off this bull flag posture here. We front ran like a macro change of character and this macro downtrending momentum that held the price down since the all-time high, the last cycle. So yeah, here it's just about sitting our hands waiting for that reversal structure, similar to what we're talking about with Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum. This is a time where you prepare for longs and prepare to exit any potential macro shorts. We got right now a bit of a descending triangle. So descending triangles kind of tell us the story of like the pace of the sellers are relatively strong, but the buyers are really strong, trying to hold fort here. And it's likely induced by a large buy wall in the order books in the form of limit orders. So as we chip away at this, it's kind of like chipping away at armor. We don't want to break through it, of course, or else we'll have a continuation. And then we'll be looking pretty steep, honestly, down to like around $7.90 again. But I'm kind of hopeful that we don't get down that low, but I'll still be holding in a profit whether we do or not. This is our descending triangle. Yeah, what we want to see is basically a break and hold with a break of structure inside this 91-day valley area. And then we can start targeting the valley area high again at $11.93 while being mindful of opposing structure like this supply right here. That will likely induce a return back to the valley area low or a retest of these highs. Or if we manage to break past this, our next area of concern will be this 91-day point of control, which is the floor of this supply here. So I would recommend boxing this zone as an area of interest to watch out for. And hopefully we get it mitigated when we get up there. But it could be what induces the pullback for a retest to the valley area low and these previous highs. Now locally, in the lower time frames, I'll zoom in on that once I get this all sorted. There we go. Let's go to the 15-minute. There's our impulse move down, supply, impulse move down, opposing change of character, internal break of structure. We can pull a fixed range volume profile here from the start of the supply, from here to here. We're at our local valley area low. And so we want to look for a reversal structure, kind of similar to this, but hopefully not as like steep of a neckline. We go to the 15-minute or 5-minute, sorry. And our 5-minute internal unclaimed, our internal strong high, sorry. It's right here. So right now, a close above this would trigger us to flip bullish and then us to prepare to get a rotation, hopefully to the valley area high. But we got to be watchful and mindful at that point of control at $9.60. So we want to get the confluence of the bullish change of character and acceptance into the valley area. We have a 15-minute or 5-minute order block here, which could induce a pullback after we get the change of character. But yeah, this is going to be a good area to watch. So if I were to draw pathing, we need to see a break of this high. We watch your head around here. Aim for here. In hopes that we get continuations and acceptance into this 91-day valley area. I'm going to take it one barrier at a time. And we've been range bound here for 4 days. So 4-day valley area. you can mark your value area low, your value area high. Your point of control. But yeah, we don't want to close below this wick level, because then we'd be thinking about around the $7.90 area from the October 10th crash. I just got stopped out. That's okay. So yeah, we got that. So now our next zone of interest I'll be looking for is down here. And hopefully get better structure, because this was a bit slightly forced when we got that sweep of the low, acceptance of the orb, and a retest of the orb low is what I jumped in on. Targeting this high in hopes for a front run of this kind of incomplete double bottom posture. But we'd be really mindful of the downtrending momentum and VWAP as a forced exit plan. So now our next little area of interest is between this 1,000 Bitcoin buy wall in the order books at 72K and this low. So between here and here, to be a core area of interest for potential longs. And that the buy wall is flush with all these, the previous level of resistance from the value area high from that 250-day value area. Okay. We have the chat now. ETH about to fly. ETH, yeah, we got 3 drives price action, but we need to wait for confirmation. Right now on the 15-minute, this is like our key level. We might get a lower key level. Where's my horizontal ray? Right here. Yeah, we want to see that broken. But if we get like a 2 candle pullback, and then a lower low, like that key level could rotate. Let's see if we get like a rounded bottom. Right now it looks a lot like the 3 drives kind of price action, which usually flips bullish, but it's actively bearish while it's kind of creating the liquidity above us and taking the liquidity below us. So we'll see if we take this liquidity and then use that as fuel to drive it up. Okay. 5-minute posture, same. No, 5 minutes even higher. It's messy. Yeah, all this is internal. Between like this low, this high. I gotta fix this a little bit. It's like here. High still. There, I fixed it. Okay, what we have in the chat now. You don't understand the previous POC, previous value area, and value area high. Are these indicators? Kindly expand on them. Yeah, we can do that. So a value area, think of it like when you're looking at a range, it's like the fairest value of the asset during that time. So market makers tend to try to keep price action ranging to induce liquidity. So if I were to grab, let's go back in time here. Let's look at the 70-day one, for example. Now there's value areas within value areas when they're this aged, but what you want to look for is a kind of a range. There's rules that I apply to when I do my polls. So the rules I look for is like a impulse move down, a base of structure, another impulse move down, creating a form of supply, then a bullish change of character. If you don't know what a change of character is or a break of structure is, that's lesson 1. You have to go back and learn about market structure in order to, it's kind of like, think of it as your first layer to then start stacking confluences to increase your win rate, right? So we want to look for another, like a change of character, and then an opposing change of character like this, and then you can start doing your pull right up until the supply, right? Unless when we came up there, we mitigated it, then you can include the supply in your pull. Then there's the opposite scenario where price action comes up, base of structure, impulse move up, an opposing change of character, and then another, like a bullish change of character here. You'd start your pull from here forward or from here forward. And this is using the fixed range volume profile. So when you go where you find your long and short position tool, you go to volume-based tools, your fixed range volume profile is what I'm talking about. And you'll have this high here, this red line, this blue line, and this green line and this blue line. Now these are customized to look like this. I have it that way just to kind of match psychology. So when we get near the red, we prepare for shorts, right? Doesn't mean we're going to be jumping into a short, but that's where we're going to be preparing for shorts. And then the blue line, the green line is where we prepare for longs. Same thing. Doesn't mean we jump into a long. It's where we prepare for longs. The confluence I look for when we get to a value area high is a break of momentum and an opposing change of character. So like a bearish change of character, like right here, we're jumping into a short, right? And you target the opposite side of the value area while being aware of any opposing confluences along the way. For example, here we had a value area and we used it as a form of support. So we'd watch that as a threat. And we also had uptrending momentum here too. So you always have to watch for areas where you might be forced out of your trade, but your ultimate goal is to get that full rotation to the opposite side of the value area. Right here was kind of like value area heaven. We had the confluence of the larger value area, point of control, and the value area low to help guide us into longs down here. I did shorts in this area because we had supply here. See where I have that impulse move down, base of structure, impulse move down. So that kind of helped me draw this fixed range, right? And we had the confluence of the macro range too. So knowing that there's a massive giant volume shelf here and that there's supply here, I did like mostly shorts in this setup. But yeah, basically just think of it as a confluence-based tool that kind of guide you into knowing where most liquidity is resting, because it usually rests on the opposite sides of the value area, and where price action tends to kind of get drawn down like a magnet towards first the point of control, and then if that breaks, then the opposite side of the value area. And we do have like a really beginner-friendly like course to help walk you through this stuff. If you're interested in learning more about value areas, it's like that's my key methodology for trading ranges. I'll look at how we're performing out of value area, and once we see acceptance into it, then I'll jump into a trade. As most of my wins come from those setups, and they come in all different time frames. But usually the larger the percentage gap between the value area low and the value area high, the better. So you can get more space and more R&R for your entry. I hope that helps you out. Yeah, I just didn't want, not sure if everyone's interested in learning, but I kind of talk about that a lot. Let's see what we have in the chat. What about XRP? We could look at XRP. See how it's doing. And regulations are starting to come into the favor of ISO 2002 tokens. And XRP kind of falls underneath that umbrella. Like we were just talking about value area setups. The last one that we were looking at during our last live was here. And we came down to the value area low, right? Break of momentum. We wanted to have this key level break, right? Because we had established that internal strong high to be taken. And we kind of fought against it for a little bit. And then we closed above it. And that kind of gave us a run up. You wouldn't have gotten stopped out if you didn't get out during the return back, if you use the strong low as your stop loss guard, which I highly recommend with most trading strategies, is to use like a strong low or strong high as your stop loss, because it's usually a guarded area. And then you target the value area high, but you have to be super mindful of the point of control along the way. So if you see any opposing reactions like this, like a bearish change of character, then you just take that gain and don't get married to your trade. You just accept the opposing reaction. Like during all this chaos here, we didn't have a technical bearish change of character. We had a bearish flip here, but not a change of character. Whereas this we did. And we also had the confluence of losing momentum. You had another opportunity to get out when we retest the momentum. But then we built like this larger head and shoulders posture, and it drove us out. After we bounced up here last time, we fully mitigated that supply, and then we came down and used it as resistance. So value areas will tell you the story of when we're about to trend or when we're trying to stay in a range. Because of this behavior right here, it kind of guides you into that. So if I were to update this pull into the moment where we lost the value area here, we came down and we used it as resistance. And you first watch the local lows, but then you'd start looking at a previous value area data for your targeting. But yeah, it looks like XRP had a really harsh reaction. We can start deleting this noise now. We're coming into this more of a macro demand zone. And like, yeah, we were looking at that tiny little valley area there, but bigger picture, we're also in a massive one too. I don't know what's going on. Okay, there we go. So I could probably erase a lot of this noise. Just waiting on my valley areas to upload. There we go. So here we have our demand. We have a little one right here too, where price action came up. Base structure, impulse move up. And another one here, impulse move up, creating demand, holding us up during this moment, holding us up during this moment, right? And now we're starting to get candle closes inside here. So we're starting to like fully mitigate this zone. This is the previous all-time high market cap at $1.30. So there could be confluence there for support alongside with this demand low. And we don't want to lose this, of course, but that's not up to us. So here, yeah, here's a zone where we prepare for reversals. You kind of want to have that higher time frame posture along on your side. It looks a lot like Chainlink, where we have this like descending sell pressure, and we had this horizontal support with a strong buy shadow wicks, but we just had a full body candle close below these bodies here on the 4 hour. So it's showing us a form of price acceptance at these lows. So another close below here, we can expect a potential rotation down to these lows. What's helpful about demand zones that are this large though, you could technically use them as a form of valley area as well. To kind of help guide you into understanding the behavior. So right now, this is our valley area high. We zoom back to where we are. It's taking its time. We can see that we bounced right off of the valley area high. So what we want to watch out for, to be super cautious, is price acceptance into that valley area with a breakage structure like this. A candle close below here might be enough, honestly, but this is how to kind of give you that higher probability edge. And then we can get that rotation down to its value area low. Okay. Locally, we have supply here. We have a supply here, and we have a 4-hour order block within it. You could refine it down to the order block if you'd like. It came from like these two candles right here and here, where we kind of had this like doji reaction with the larger sell shadow wick, and then the impulse candle down, then engulfed below it, creating an order block just like this one here above it. This one's more traditional, but here it comes with the confluence of the supply. So if we do come back up at any point, we have to watch this as a barrier that could keep the price down. We can draw our downtrending momentum. But yeah, same kind of story as Chainlink, except we don't have, like, XRP has mitigated its October 10th crash low, whereas Chainlink has not. So I think Chainlink has some relative weakness against XRP right now because of that. We'll see what happens internally for Chainlink, but yeah, here we can prepare for a sweep bounce or a break of structure continuation. So whatever one we get first, you can enact off of, but this would be a front run to this downtrending momentum break. So you'd have to watch any internal supply issues like VWAP and downtrending momentum. Right now, in terms of the internal supply, there's not really much to watch out for other than these local highs. But yeah, that's XRP. Nothing solid yet that I can base an entry off of. We've already mitigated this local hourly order block. Really, it's just about hoping that we don't go down too low inside this demand zone. And now we're bouncing off of our zone here. Nothing solid yet. How are we doing in terms of structure? Our 15-minute internal is here. We want to break that. Kind of rounding our bottom structure. Delete this. We'll keep that there. It's still valid. Yeah, I like Solana's posture the most of everything we looked at for looking for longs. Looks cleanest. Here's a signal. Jim Cramer said, everything is not fine with Bitcoin. People need to get out. Well, everybody buy. Man. Yeah, we got this this guy. This is what he's talking about. Whenever this guy tells you to buy something, you sell it. Whenever this guy tells you to sell something, you buy it. This guy's got like perfect score for being wrong, but my bad. He also teaches like market makers how to wipe out retail. So he's kind of like the last person you want to listen to. Bizarre. This might sound funny, but you think Chainlink might be reaching 100K. I don't. So I'm going to ground you a little bit for that. So I want you to try to imagine putting all of Bitcoin's market cap into Chainlink. And let's just do this right now. There's a coin. What is it? Market cap of. Because sometimes you get these targets like $10,000 XRP or something bizarre. Or Shiba Inu reaching $1. There's not enough money in the world to bring Shiba Inu to $1, for example. Whatever. Let's grab Bitcoin market cap, go to link, and just put all of Bitcoin's market cap into Chainlink. Chainlink would be worth $325. Like the ask for a $10,000 link Chainlink is extremely hard. I would love it. I would love it. Like I could buy a city with that kind of money. Like I got 1,500 Chainlink, so if it'd be really nice, but I just don't think it would happen. Oh, sorry. Let me just rephrase this. I had this all wrong. So I had it set so Bitcoin's, if Chainlink, Bitcoin had the market cap of Chainlink, it'd be worth $325. Switch it around. This is more proper. Okay. If Chainlink had the market cap of Bitcoin, it'd be worth $2,000. Like it. So we need to have like 5x the value of Bitcoin's current market cap in order for Chainlink to be worth 10,000. It could happen if they change their tokenomics a bit, though. Like if they, reduce their supply somehow by doing a relaunch and then doing an inverse split airdrop, which is not very common in crypto. Like the only cryptocurrency I've ever seen do that is mine, like Karma, is the only one that's ever done that. We went from like a 70 million supply to, 7 billion supply to a 7 million supply. So everyone got airdropped less tokens, but the tokens were worth much, much more. So I can see Chainlink maybe doing something like that to allow like a $10,000 per token valuation. But I just want to keep you grounded. I don't want you to hold too long. You know what I mean? Like, it could be possible from terrible inflation as well from the US dollar and stuff like that. There is possibilities that make it possible, but based on the current conditions of its tokenomics, it's not. I don't see it ever happening. And I'm a diehard like Chainlink fan. But yeah, there's a lot of clickbait out there they'll try to convince you of crazy targets so they can get you to fill up their bag so they can dump on you. And the sooner you identify that, the faster you'll be profitable in this space, because there's a lot of liars in this space. It's really frustrating. And unfortunately, those are usually the bigger accounts, the ones that have, millions of subscribers, leading the masses. Okay. We have the chat. Let's see. You've seen this so many times, Maxwell? Yeah, I hear you, man. It's frustrating. What other assets you guys want to look at? We looked at Solana together. We looked at Ethereum together. XRP, Chainlink, Bitcoin. We're just waiting on new setup criteria. Chainlink, waiting for the change of character, acceptance back inside the local valley area. XRP, nothing that I trust. We could get a sweep here, but I personally wouldn't take it from here. It is kind of preparing for a macro move back up. Solana, I love its positioning. Maybe a potential bounce off the previous point of control. We have a daily order block here, downtrending momentum, trying to get acceptance back up inside this valley area, but this valley area is likely going to act as a form of resistance the first time around. But if we get that break of structure acceptance, then we can start targeting 106 again, in hopes that we break past that, of course, but one little step at a time. Hype. Okay, let's take a peek at Hype. Last time we looked at this was the 30th of January, so about 5 or 6 days. Hype held its support level. Okay, so here, good time to draw a value area, right? We have this impulse move down, basic structure, impulse move down, creating supply. We have to watch this as a form of resistance. We've tapped into it once. It already kind of helped induce this range, right? So we got to pull, get a rectangle tool. We have some order blocks here. This is a 3-minute time frame, by the way, so nothing extreme. But here's an area where you'd be careful for potential shorts locally. We can pull a fixed range volume profile from here to here. Now I would include this right here in my pull if we mitigated it and came down. But until we do, it's not included in the pull because it will manipulate your valley area data in a negative way. So now we have currently our valley area high confluence, preparing for kind of a drop for hype. But right now, we're trying to use the valley area as a form of support. We didn't have a proper pullback on the 3-minute. What I like to see for preparing for a trend-based move is a pullback, retest, then higher high. And we kind of got that, but it wasn't technically a proper pullback. You need to have 2 consecutive candles giving you that pullback, and we don't in that scenario. So if we break this low, I guess because we don't have a proper pullback here, our proper low is here. It's insane. So we can prepare for a flip, acceptance of the value area, and then target the value area low. The hype has some relative strength sometimes. So when it does these like stronger based moves, it tends to move the opposite direction of other assets after it had moments of relative strength. Like if you look here, like this guy's been in a machine, right? We broke this macro downtrending momentum. This is a 4-hour time frame now. We broke this key level. We had a bullish change of character here. But when we broke this key level, we ended up using those previous highs as support. The last time we were looking at this, we were preparing for a long. So if I zoom in here, my orange rays are basically indications of key levels that I want to see broken to prepare for a trade, right? So we had an orange ray here, preparing for a short, but being mindful of this demand with the confluence of the 50-day EMA. And then when we got back down here, we were looking for longs. And we got that break, and we just hit our head off of the double top neckline, and then created another double top to bring us back down. Kind of built this inverse head and shoulders, kind of like Wyckoff accumulations setup, retested as support, and now we're kind of using this previous highs as support right now as we speak, trying to get that bounce for a continuation for the macro move. But right now the 3-minute time frame is kind of giving us a battle. So it is trying to confirm this kind of macro downtrending momentum that held it down since like $60 as a form of support with this breakout. But yeah, locally right now, we kind of take it in stages. Let me see. So we can pull a valley area pull from here, I believe right to here. Yeah. So see how like we have this demand here, defining this pull, impulse move up, base of structure, impulse move up, giving us demand, had the opposing break, then another support bounce. At that moment, you'd have like a mature valley area, right? Let's delete some of this noise. Here we go. So yeah, now we're trying to use the valley area high as a form of support with the confluence of that macro downtrend momentum. But yeah, internally we're just having this little battle kind of preventing us from getting that unclaimed high up here. See how we behave. So we're kind of at that make it or break it kind of moment. Just find out if we're going to get the move to that unclaimed high. But as soon as we get that, if we do get that bounce and higher high with the proper break of structure, we're going to have to watch this as a barrier concern. in hopes that we get continuation posture to start taking that high, and then maybe go on a longer term trend based move. And this would be kind of like the spark of that move. Obviously there was front run material earlier with that daily change of character, but if you're late to the party, this could be it. Statistically, we should be preparing for shorts here. So you want to draw momentum first, uptrending momentum here. Find your key level right here. A 2-minute candle close below here. Like I see come up here, probably bounce, and then continue down from here. And then you're preparing for longs again. Otherwise, if we get the close above, then you'll be looking for shorts again up here. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. But yeah, that's kind of like what we're looking for with the potential value area setup. I really should be starting to trade hype. And it's just, it follows market structural rules so well. Yeah, and it loves its value areas. For any reason we do come down lower, and we just printed a 4-hour order block below us, and a 4-hour block here too. So we have one here and we have one here. Both those can help induce bounce and show you evidence of potential institutional involvement. Let's see how it goes. Bit of a tweezer reaction so far on the 15-minute. Tweezers, like this is a tweezer right here. This is an engulfing one. What you want to look for when you see tweezers, basically a flat top or a flat bottom, and you have a candle here, and then an engulfing candle. They are reversal indicators, especially when they're at a value area low or a value area high. So if this one, especially if this one engulfs, if it closes below this green candle, it could be the spark of a return down. But I'd still be mindful of this value area high can act as a form of support. So we want to make sure we have acceptance back inside the value area and to close below our key level in the lower time frames there. But seeing this will help give you more backing behind your trade, more confidence. I want to build a strategy actually based on entering just off tweezers, because I think that entry criteria will be very beginner friendly and help a lot of people like make some money on something that's simple. Like there's another tweezer reaction here. There's an indicator that comes with your 11x bundle. If anyone here has 11x, called She High, and it uses USDT dominance as a form of confluence to define some key reversal levels. So if you see like a let me just pull it up instead of just talking about it. Invite only She High. But if you see the diamonds on the tweezers, I've noticed in the 15-minute time frame especially, it comes with great confluence for reversals. Let's see. So there's a red diamond here, green diamond. So like using these diamonds in confluence with like valley areas and like tweezer tops, it's pretty intense. Let me just bring that to front. Bring this to back. There, so you can see a little more clearly. So like, just like changes of character, not every change of character being equal, not every diamond's going to be equal. So if you have something internally within a valley area, I trust it a heck of a lot less. But if we're approaching a value area high or value area low, they call bottoms extremely well. Yeah, so if you're interested in something like that, 11x, we do have a discount with them. You get 10% off using InvestiShare as your code. Yeah, we got a decent reaction here. Down only for Sol. Show is over. Well, I wouldn't say that yet, man. We're approaching a daily order block. Previous point of control. I know you're a decent holder of Solana, so I understand the feeling that you're feeling right now. But I will let you know that Bitcoin's very close to bottoming out. Like based on-chain macroeconomics data, like we should be bottoming out very, very soon if we haven't already. And alts will be carried up from that return, right? And Solana, I can guarantee, will be one of those ones that will be carried back up. It's one of the larger market cap assets and has great development. We have in the chat. Try to catch up here. Any membership deals at the moment? Oh, let's make one right now, guys. Let's see. Just checking. See, there's active codes. We can use any active codes we got going on. Coupons. While I'm looking through this, you guys shoot me any messages of any assets you guys want me to look at. The ATH code is still going. So you can use ATH, represent Ethereum's all-time high from back in like August or so. We created that code. There's still some left to be used. So if you guys want to use that, it'll give you 50% off your first month. And then, or 20% off the annual subscription. So like ATH, guys, still works. Text you on Discord. Okay, yeah. Just make sure you guys, if you get a message from me in the Discord, it's most likely not going to be me. I will reply to your messages, but I'll never be the first one to message you, okay? Just be aware of that, because the scammers have been super active lately. It's been bizarre. They're trying to use the giveaways that I do every Friday as a way of trying to introduce themselves into conversations. I did a post about that yesterday. Just be super cautious. Sui. Yeah, we can look at Sui. It's been a while since we took a peek at Sui. Sui's kind of been on a tear. That's what we were looking at last time. Yes, well, looks like we had most of our focus here. I drew something down here, so yeah, we're looking for potential move up to supply. Got front ran a little bit. I think we already spoke about that. And then we're looking for a bounce off this local valley area low. We can update this pull here to here. This has been mitigated now. This is actually a 6-hour bearish order block here, so we can adapt that to prepare for a bearish reaction next time we return to this zone. So let's just adapt that short. Let's delete some of this noise. Oh, we can leave those wick levels there. Okay, and melt it through this demand. Let me just zoom out on the daily again. We're at a key level of interest. It's previous support and resistance is a horizontal form of interest. I don't think it's going to come down to as low as its October 10th crash wick level. I think it will still dance internally. Never say never, of course. Like alts especially, when they bleed, they sometimes die. Sui has a lot of pairing liquidity with Ethereum, so it follows along with Ethereum really tightly with its like local moves. So if you see a confluence on the Ethereum chart for a potential long, and then you break a key level on your Sui chart, then you'll have that extra confluence to help drive the price up. But then you just got to watch the downside with that is also the upsides with that. If you see opposing barriers, like for example, like right around here, where you see that supply here and the end of this 3 drives like target, if Sui gives us a reversal and we start coming back up, we have to watch Ethereum's relative positioning. That could help drive Sui back down. But here, yeah, we had this large valley area. We were trading in Sui for like 300 and some days, and then we used it as a form of resistance, confirming a trend-based move, like during this moment. And then we got acceptance inside of this demand zone valley area during this moment, giving a target of a rotation down to the valley area low, but we broke right through it. Got acceptance back in, hit the point of control, then down we go. It's bizarre. So right now we're kind of at an area of interest as we speak that we could use to help prepare for longs, but it's not too structurally, it's not really. It looks like we already got that mitigated. All because of this crazy wick. Go over here, the 15-minute time frame, see what it looks like. It's got more of a horizontal kind of price action compared to Ethereum. Ethereum's kind of descending, right? Grabbing liquidity from the lows as it's going down and stacking from the highs. Whereas Sui has got more horizontal price action. A little bit easier to trade, in my opinion, when you have horizontal price actions. A little more straightforward when you're preparing for key levels. You can pull a fixed range volume profile here. This is the supply that induced the range that kept this down. We haven't fully mitigated yet, so we're not including it in my poll. We also have supply right here above us too. You can mark that as an area of interest that we could see it induce a pullback from. But, you know, claiming back above these highs, if we do get a pullback here, we could use it as a form of support and then continue our way up. But the first tap could give you like a short-term short opportunity down to those previous highs, depending on the R&R. Let me fix this. Okay. So I'd mark our wick level lows. The magnet tool here and here. We already got a good sweep here already. We haven't taken that sweep low yet. Hopefully we kind of don't. But if we do, it'll evolve the internal structure. This is our current key level that you want to see have a candle close above it in hopes that we get acceptance back inside this valley area. So if I draw pathing, we got to watch out, hit our head. We could hit our head here with this like a 30-minute order block, valley area low here, and VWAP could induce a reversal to retest. Watch out for the point of control and target the valley area high, then prepare for a reversal at the valley area high again. If we get a pull, a body candle close below here instead, then we got to watch out for continuations. Right down to this wick level low, where we can prepare for a sweep and return back up, but see how we do. Like the 107 is a key level that we're talking about from the previous macro structure we got over there, and we're trying to like hold it as we speak. So if we don't get a close back above here, then we know we haven't really validated a form of support, and we expect it to continue down. But that's silly, man. That's the local price action. Macro wise, it's like holding by a thread. It's not doing very good. This is a good spot to prepare for a reversal, but you want to see like this value area acts as a form of support right here. Otherwise, focus on shorts around this area. All right, Bitcoin down to our zone again. We haven't taken the low yet, that local low yet. Let's delete this noise here, guys. I get the downtrending momentum. Our key level is currently here. Kind of flush with that previous wick level low that we had a lot of liquidity at. Breaking this would give us a bullish change of character on the 5-minute. And we have to watch the pathing of the orb potentially acting as a form of resistance. The VWAP especially much stronger than the orb. And then if we break past that, then we can start targeting the value area high again. Or sorry, the previous value area low. Another steep stop loss though. Annoying. MSTR down 7% today. Yeah, MSTR is a big holder of Bitcoin, so as Bitcoin drops, that correlation kind of drives MSTR down too. Because everyone kind of understands what's happening to their books, right? They are currently below their buyer's average. And their buyer's average is at like 76K. They're not down by that much. So everyone's being a bit over dramatic. But I know it's a heavy weighted value of their holdings. Like they have like almost a 20th of the supply. We have so much Bitcoin, it's ridiculous. Anyone have that feeling that things are breaking? You're making me bullish by saying stuff like that. Whenever I hear, like, it's like every cycle, whenever we have like this big crashes, everyone thinks that Bitcoin's going to zero or things are breaking. It makes me mega bullish. Like that's the psychology that they want you to feel. Yeah, there's so many scammers on Discord, I don't know what to trust. Here, I'll show you, man. Oh, and our, yeah, so our server looks like this. For you guys, it might look a little different. If you're ever concerned about the server itself, you could always submit a support ticket. Click on Discord, and I'll talk to you directly through the server. But yeah, you gotta be careful of who messages you. If you get a DM from me first, it's usually a scammer, but I'll reply back to you in the inbox if you message me first. But I'll never be the first one to message you. I don't have time to go through the people that jump in here because there are a lot of scammers that sometimes jump in. But we have like a scammer detection system that helps boot out people, and we have mods too that boot people too. Yeah, this is what the inside looks like when you're a member, but when you're not a member, it looks a little let me just move this in case there's security concerns. Just try to pull up my server settings. Server settings, roles. Yeah, they'll basically be like it'll just show you like the introductory stuff and a welcome chat. Yeah, they want you to open short at the bottom. Fuel, exactly, DJ. They want you to sell your Bitcoin and pass it to them at a discount. And there's such strong evidence of that on chain. It's absolutely insane. Especially the last pullback we had. If we go to addresses, balances here under chain exposed, like this is a free tool you guys could use. You can see the balances and how like people who are holding between like 0.1 and 1 Bitcoin, or people holding between 1 and 10, or 10 and 100. Like crabs are like retail. Crabs and lower are retail, right? And ever since December, this has been in a downtrend, right? Meaning they're selling their Bitcoin, or the balances within them are dropping. And that could come from a several amount of things. It could come from diversification between wallets too. So just be aware of that, because it's been happening a lot with whales and humpbacks. Like people who are holding 1,000 Bitcoin or more are diversifying their wallets, because now there's insurance that can cover your Bitcoin if there's something were to happen. And the insurance only covers up so much per wallet. So if you notice, like for example, big companies like BlackRock split their wallets up, it's because of insurance reasons. They had to pay a separate insurance policy for each individual wallet, and the wallet can only hold so much. I believe it's $40 million for each wallet. So you see crabs are on a downtrend here. Fish, which is the one I actually watch the most, is the fish, because they tend to call the bombs like really well. And we're at a lowest point on the fish side since Bitcoin was at 16K. Like this is pretty significant. So this is an area where we tend to find bounces on these guys. So we're just kind of like waiting to see how they're reacting in a macro sense. Sharks are in an uptrend. They're buying your Bitcoin. These are institutions. These are banks. These are like people like BlackRock. You know, they're accumulating like crazy, and they're buying all of your Bitcoin while everyone else is fearful. So you're just giving it to them right now at a discount. They did do a drop here, and this aligns with government activity too, by the way. The governments have definitely been selling in December, and if you guys want me to show you proof of that, I can show you proof of that on Glassnode. But there's a steep drop here around December, and it kind of sparked a faster move down near the all-time high, the current all-time high at 125K. So governments are kind of being slimy. Other than El Salvador, those guys are still accumulating. So if we go to Glassnode, so I can show you proof of that. Let me just try to remember where the heck that is on here. There's a lot of tools on Glassnode. So here's supply dynamics, government and company holdings. Here we go. The government balance, we had a drop of about 1 million Bitcoin. Let's see. No, sorry, it's just 1,000 Bitcoin. So they sold 1,000 Bitcoin at the top there. The Bhutan government, sorry if I butchered that, they've also sold around the same time. The German government sold as well. They didn't have a very small holdings. It's very insignificant. I wouldn't really worry about that. El Salvador, however, bought their dip. They did. They basically bought their dip. Mt. Gox is still good. But yeah. But I would just notice a correlation with that top. There's definitely manipulation going on. And if you follow crypto Twitter, there's obviously you can see the manipulation very transparently from Trump. But yeah. All right, guys. I gotta head out. I really enjoyed the session with you guys. So just a quick recap. Preparing. I got my long goggles still on. I did get stopped out in a trade here. The trade started off relatively strong, but not for very long. And now we're still kind of maintaining this downtrend here. Looking for maybe a bullish change of character here. If we get it lower, then even better. We could take this low first before preparing for a move back up. We do have a buy wall here of 1,000 Bitcoin. It's been there since 9:30 this morning, Eastern Standard Time, for 1,000 Bitcoin at 72K. 72K's got that historical previous value area high resistance line. So there's a lot of interest here for it to enact as a form of support. If we get down that low, and I am preparing for an inverse perpetual long, but I am going to be cautious with that because it's my Bitcoin. I treat Bitcoin like it's my children. I don't like selling it. So, or using it as a tool to jump into a trade for collateral. So I'll be looking for a break of this high here before considering like an inverse perpetual trade. And seeing how we do for acceptance to the value area. Right here is our 4 hour, our 6 hour, and beyond. Basically, there's a large amount of multi-time frame confluence here breaking this high at 79.388, which I think will spark a strong reversal up if we break this level. We'd have to watch some turbulence along the way, but this key level can really ignite a much stronger trend reversal, like a longer term trend reversal. And right now we're kind of in that stage where we're trying to front run all that as safely as possible. And if we don't get it and we see opposing reactions, then we just take the small gains or the small losses. Make sure you keep your losses as small as possible, as consistent as possible, and focus on like 1 to 2s or greater for your risk to reward ratio so you can outweigh those losses and scale long term. And maybe have your scalp trade convert into like a swing trade. All right, guys, if you're interested in learning more, we got courses and we got some new stuff coming out very soon that I'm really excited to release. I'm shaking because we're getting so close to trying to get that released. But it's just like a couple things we need to connect in the back end and then we're good to go. If we take this low, guys, our key level is going to rotate from here to here. But just need to take that this local low first, and maybe even sweep this simultaneously. And then we can rotate our key level from here to there, prepare for longs if we get the candle close above here on the 5-minute time frame. And we'll have the break of momentum and confluence with that. All right, guys. Reach out to me if you need any help on the Discord. Again, be cautious of scammers. They're all over the place. Any Discord you go into, you're going to get an impersonator trying to convince you into moving your funds onto a shady platform or something like that. We do have a sale for 50% off right now. You can use the ATH code if you want. Interested in trying us out. But yeah, guys, I'll see you guys in the next lives tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. It'll be a quick 30-40 minute one tomorrow. I got kickboxing tomorrow with my wife. Otherwise, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning in the trade hunting call with the community. All right, guys, have a great day. I'll see you soon.